All right, let's go back to the phone and let's talk some more baseball with Mark Gonzales. He is the Cubs beat writer for the Chicago Tribune. He's in Pittsburgh as the Cubs are getting ready to take on the Pirates for the play-in game.
Let's hope so that he's in. Mark, we're glad you're in Pittsburgh, and we're glad you're on the show. And I will ask you a question today. We know about the two pitchers. Who do you think, other than Coles and Arrieta, is going to be the biggest factor tonight for the two teams?
Wow, if I had to narrow it to one guy, I think it'd be Andrew McCutchen. And I say that because he has tremendous success against Arrieta. Not too many people can say that. He plays center field as well as anybody in his own park, which you know is very spacious. And if guys get on base ahead of him, Arrieta might have to adjust. And he usually doesn't adjust to too many people. So I think he's the guy that might hold the keys if it's taken out of the hands of Cole or Arrieta.
Hey, Mark, when we talk about the Cubs and the Astros specifically, a lot of people say, well, they got there a year early. Maybe they're not ready for the big stage. Houston looked more than ready playing at Yankee Stadium last night. Are the Cubs, in your estimation, ready for the big stage?
Yeah, I think so. I think, first of all, everybody knew about Bryant and Schwarber and Addison Russell. They were on everybody's top 10 prospect list. They're travel ball guys, so they're used to the high competition, being in the spotlight. And I think also the Cubs in the last 2 months played very well under some tense circumstances in that they were fighting for a playoff berth. They played stiff competition, namely teams like the Giants and Dodgers. Last few weeks against the Cardinals, and Pirates did very well against them. So I think they're battle-tested.
Mark, I hope they advance from my standpoint, not because of what's happened with the Chicago history and everything. I would just like to see Wrigley Field sort of be finished up before the season is over. I've watched it during, and you obviously watch it all the time, but I watch it go from where there were girders everywhere, and then there are people, and it's just kind
bleachers closed.
I mean, it's almost like one of those flash photo things where you see the development all year long. If you watch the Cubs, you go, oh, now they got the stands up in left center field. Oh, now they got them up in right center field. That was just funny to me. Edge, Madden or Hurdle?
I got to go with Joe at this point, only because I think he manages more with a sense of urgency than Clint. I like Clint. He's done a terrific job. He has a knack for making guys believe they're better than what they really are, and he's done it with this team, whether it be a Sean Rodriguez or Morris. But Joe's pulled a lot of rabbits out of his hat to this point. He's done it with this club this year, and I think he's got a few guys on this roster that you scratch your head and say, what are they doing on this roster? But they've played important roles, and I think that you might see a trick or two from Joe this game, and it helps them win.
That's why I got laughed at on ESPN today, Mark, saying Joe Madden I thought would be the X factor tonight. But I think what he's done for that team, I said, he's worth, I think, 10 victories to that team this year. And I just think that if there's a managerial situation tonight for the two managers, I'm more comfortable with Joe because of his history with, it's hard to say, but his history with Tampa Bay and what he was able to do there, and the same thing you brought up, Mark, of pulling players to a greater height than they really should be, that I think that would be maybe an edge in the 8th or 9th game in terms of matchups and decision-making of how you use your players.
Yeah, he's not afraid to fail. In like tonight, he's got a guy, Tommy La Stella, who's probably played in 33 games this year. He's got him batting 5th and starting at third base because he knows he runs coming at a premium, and he's going to go for it early, knowing La Stella's a left-handed, good fastball hitter, might match up well against Cole. If they can get a run early, then it's going to feel like 3 runs to Arrieta in the game.
Mark, you have been watching an historical second half of the season put in by Jake Arrieta. Describe what you've seen, if you will, from Arrieta since the All-Star break.
Quite simply, no-hit stuff. The last month in particular, I'd say his last 4 or 5 starts, he goes out there, and if they don't get a hit the first inning, you got to think about a no-hitter. He's been that dominant, and he's been dominant with all 4 pitches. He doesn't walk many guys. He just seems to find that extra gear. He has 4 complete games this year. which speaks to his stamina and his dominance.
You might be a bit biased, but I'm going to ask this anyway. Arrieta, Kershaw, or Greinke for the National League Cy Young?
I cannot comment because I'm a voter,
okay.
and I can't share that, but those are three formidable guys right there.
Well, we'll just tell you, we were talking about it earlier. Well, let me ask you, because you are valued beat writer in the league, that Grantland came out and Grantland did their own most valuable player, rookie of the year. They picked Bryant, of course. They picked Kershaw. In the most valuable player, Harper we all know, but we sit here in Colorado talking about Arenado, and he wasn't in their top 10. In your mind, is Arenado, the year he's had, and as Les pointed out, most valuable players don't pay attention to defensive stats, but do you think that these players that come along are Colorado creations, or are they legitimately great players, like Troy Tulowitzki, Todd Helton, Arenado?
Arenado, it's funny you mentioned him because I was looking up McCutcheon's average of runners on scoring position, and I thought he led the league. No, Arenado's got a much, much higher average, and he's doing that away from Coors Field and not just there. So I'm a big Arenado fan, and not just because of his defense as well. This guy, he's terrific. Tulowitzki, terrific player. He's from my area in the Bay Area. In fact, he was so nice. He bought his dad a house around the corner from where I grew up. So he scored some points in my basket, and I think he's just deluxe. And before he got hurt, you saw him doing some good things with Toronto. So I think every guy is case by case as far as Coors Fields go. But those two guys are an elite class.
Mark, I want to go back to the Cubs for one more question. If, in fact, the Cubs are a year early, as some people say, what's the one thing the Cubs need to do to be a World Series winner?
They probably need another marquee starter, and I think it's no secret that they'll explore that again, whether it be David Price or Jordan Zimmerman, but just that one big horse to add to Arrieta and Lester, because Madden's done a terrific job of managing the last three spots in that rotation, pulling guys early if it means eating up the bullpen for a day and getting that win. Joe succeeded more times than not, but getting another frontline pitcher would really solve a lot of issues, and they have the money to do so keep an eye on them.
Final question for me, Mark. Is the grass okay at Wrigley Field now? I go back to Wrigley Field, but I mean, Madden was complaining about the grass. The infield was okay, but no more concerts right now. And could that be a factor in a long series where that grass was replaced? Stupid question.
It should be fine now because they haven't played there in 9 days. So if it's not fixed, then we got problems. And unfortunately, they're still going to have concerts there. I know the dollar speaks mighty, but I would be shocked if the field wasn't back to normal.
Well, Mark, know you're busy. Know you got to get there into the dugouts and talk to the managers. Really appreciate your time. And if the Cubs keep going, we might give you a ring down the line if that's okay.
People keep up with you in the Tribune, but your Twitter account, how can we also follow you during the postseason?
MD Gonzales, at MD Gonzales.
MD as in David.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
All right, Mark Gonzales of the Chicago Tribune, and all of our guests brought to you by Papa John's. The day after every Broncos win,
bring it in.
You get 50% off your regular menu price online orders. You have to use the promo code BRONCOS at the new papajohns.com.